Okay. What? How does that work? Okay, let's try again. What? Huh? What? That's gonna be a long day today. Hello there, and welcome back to War Thunder aboard the T26E5, a new American Rank 4 battle rating 6.3 Tech 3 heavy tank, which looks suspiciously familiar to the well-known M26 Pershing, with which it shares the battle rating. So the question is this tank worth it? Is it good, bad, or just ugly? Well, let's find out. But before we go into the very details about this tank, I just want to share with you a little bit about my YouTuber luck. On YouTube you very often see only good battles. Now I want to share with you a few scenes that are not so good and I think you are just too familiar with. So getting sniped through several bushes by an Armour and then getting shot trapped out of all things. That's not good. Now here is another scene and I'm in a very good position. Spoiler, this tank is pretty good in theory with hull down positions because it has a tough turret, you have 10 degrees of gun depression, and then it is really difficult for the enemies to kill you. Wait, was that another shot trap? Let's find out. Let's watch the kill cam, and that is an AP round overpressuring me from the front. And if that is not guidance enough for you, here have a connection to the server was lost issue. Yeah, so aside from this, if we push all the bad things away, what's the tank like? Well, it's actually fun, at least in a down tier. And then it's a bit of a brawling monster and Armour deliverer, and I love this. So here, this battle scene shall serve you for your entertainment while I talk about the several various different aspects of this tank. Let's talk about the mobility. A 500 horsepower strong engine, the same as in the Pershing, but for a 5-ton heavier tank. 46.4 tons, giving it a horsepower to ton ratio of just under 11. Not great and not terrible, kind of standard for heavy tanks. Top speed is 40 kilometers per hour and reverse speed is 12.3 kilometers per hour. That's fairly usable. Then the gun depression is 10 degrees, gun elevation is 20 degrees, and we have then also a turret traverse of 24 degrees per second with a standard 4 degrees per second gun elevation speed. And the gun in question is the 90mm M3 cannon with 70 rounds of ammunition and a roof-mounted heavy machine gun 50 cal. And that just works fine together as it does with the majority of American tanks. The ammunition for the well-known 90mm M3 cannon, which fires every 7.5 seconds with an ace crew fully trained, well, stock you get the T26E5 BC round. Solid shot, not good, limited spalling, just not what you want. What you want for exploding or letting the enemies explode with great enthusiasm is the tier 1 upgrade, the M82 shot AP CBC round with roughly 140 grams of TNT equivalent bursting charge. Yeah, but 173mm of penetration is just lacking compared to, let's say, the German Long 88 or the long barreled 90mm that you can find on, let's say, the Super Pershing. Now, the answer to your prayers is the M304 shot with 287mm of penetration. That's great, and it's already a tier 2 upgrade, but it's APCR, so very bad spalling, very bad performance versus sloped armor, and only really usable when you're facing head-on something like a Ferdinand or a Tiger 2H. Versus a Jagd Panther, for instance, with the sloped armor, just forget it. So, yeah, not really cool, right? Then you have also an HE shell and a smoke shell, both are not really that important. Now, what really makes this tank work is the armor. Whereas your standard M26 Pershing has only a 4-inch front plate, you have here a 6-inch front plate. Whereas the M26 has a relatively big gun mantlet, which is 150mm thick, Here you have 177mm, including some overlay. Yes, both is cast homogeneous armor, but it kind of still does the trick. Also, the machine gun port, which is a weak spot, is smaller. The lower glacis is still a weak spot with 102mm, but you know, it's better than the 3-inch or 76mm on the Pershing. So it's definitely the assault tank or heavy tank version of the M26. And I think that this fools a lot of people thinking that they can shoot the usual spots, right? Also, the cupola is small. From the side, you have the usual 3-inch or 76.2mm of rolled homogeneous armor, and on the engine it's a bit weaker with only 2 inches or 50mm. So this tank is just stupidly good in brawling. It's satisfying, aside when you get in front of something where your gun just lags, and that happens more than often. Here, for instance, I could not for the love of it kill this Jagdpanzer 470. Also, as I said, with something like a Jagdpanther, I couldn't really deal, and then the guns get consecutively always more dangerous, so watch out for that. But I think that this is a really good support tank for supporting a push or leading it, and then other people just slam the enemies with the APDS or high pen AP CBC rounds or heat rounds, you know, whatever, it doesn't really matter. But in absorbing shots, my god, it's been a while since I experienced that, and it's oddly satisfying. And I think only America could get away with it, because the American tech tree at 6.7 is actually mostly responsible for bringing the armor killers into the game. You know, everything that has between, I don't know, 320 and 400 plus millimeters of penetration with heat rounds. Yeah, that's a bad thing, but this is good. So the everything that denies you armor is mostly in your tech tree. And yeah, I haven't seen a single RE251, so there is that. Anyway, what I want to say is that this tank is slow, but it's okay for this battle rating. This tank has a gun that can one-shot the enemy if you find a weak spot or you find the side, but from the front it struggles. And its armor can absorb quite a few rounds. And I think that it's an M26 in disguise, you know, and I think that is the main part, that it fools the enemy, which I said before. Yeah, again, another shot trap for good measure. But honestly, I was here long enough. Now, for me personally, this was a refreshing experience. This was something that I want to experience more often. But I think that for the majority of the War Thunder community, which just loves to play high-tier Call of Duty, this is nothing really that desirable. And I kind of think that this is a shame, because perfecting tanks like these is really, for me personally, the bread and butter of War Thunder ground forces. The satisfaction of the one-shots, the satisfaction of absorbing the shots, when you angle your armor or you get hulled down, where you prioritize the targets, where you have then also the 50 cal for threatening aircraft, but most importantly dealing very lightly protected enemy targets. It's just a well-rounded feature. But in many situations I would actually prefer, and yeah, you're listening to this right now, I would prefer the 76mm jumbo, because it also has a 50 cal, it also has some tough armor, and it also has, which this tank doesn't have, a one-plane stabilizer. It's debatable if a jumbo would have survived that shot. But wait for it. Oh, so good. Further things to notice are that I played this tank stock, so I grinded the modules myself, with the exception of the AP CBC round, because I need some explosion in my life. So that was the only exception that I bought for Golden Eagles, and I just had a good time mostly. Yeah, I don't like open maps in this. It's again a short range brawler, and to be honest, if you want to make this gun in particular work, why not play a Super Hellcat. I think on a Super Hellcat it works better, and give this tank a more long-barreled gun, then it would be just better in the heavy tank role. So I think that, yeah, the Super Pershing, despite being higher battle rating, is for its battle rating better than this tank. But again, overall, it's a good tank. But it depends if people really get fooled by thinking that this is an M26 Pershing, and maybe with time they then learn to aim for the weak spots like the very prominent shot trap area, the machine gun board, the lower glacis, or just knock out the gun barrel and just then flank it. We will see. Now, that's it for me today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Let me know in the comment section what you think about this tank and its addition. Have you played it? Have you played against it? Were you surprised by it? And if you like this video, why not give it a like? For you, it's just a click. For me, it means the world. And then why not also subscribe and hit the bell if you want to see more. And we'll see each other, as usual, on the ways, in the skies, and on the battlefields of War Thunder.